and welcome to We Did a Podcast 37. Woo! Here it is. Today we're talking about the new Netflix original series, Locke and Key, based on the comic book titled Locke and Key.
Nailed it.
Written by Joe Hill, Lil Stephen King, son of King.
Lil Stephen.
Mm-hmm. Frank, why don't you kick it off?
I will kick it, David. I'll kick it right in its hiney. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the series and obviously comparing to the comic book as we go along. But I think we'll just talk about the series mainly.
Yeah.
Cover the comic book in. That makes sense to me, right?
And this is kind of like a two-part thing going on here. If you follow Apollo City Comics...
David and Frank and Beans crossover event.
Yes. We did an episode earlier this week about the Locke and Key Volume 1 comic book.
Oh, really? That would have been last week if they are listening to this currently.
No, this past week. Because it comes out on a Sunday.
Yeah, but Brandon's...
comes out tomorrow. So it'll be this past week. Like the end of the week is Sunday, isn't it? Or are you saying Sunday is the beginning of the week?
I'm confusing myself now. I don't know where I stand anymore. Honestly.
I was like,
wait, what was my original claim?
I mean, the calendar makes it seem like Sunday is the beginning of the week.
Yes.
But also other countries' calendars start on Monday. And we do call Saturday and Sunday the weekend.
Yeah, it's not my fault, though.
Who knows?
I didn't get to decide any of this.
I don't know what the United States was thinking time and time again. Just getting weird with it.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just make this standard measurement system.
And then, while we're at it, let's just screw that calendar up a little bit, too.
Yeah. Jeez. Anyway, daylight savings. You know what I mean? Anyway. Wow, getting real off topic right away.
Yeah.
So we're talking about...
It might be a long one, folks.
Yeah, I know,
Let's see how this goes.
We're talking about Locke and Key. It just came out. It's 10 episodes. I think it's...
And right away, I was curious because Volume 1, which we read for the Apollo City Comics episode, is only 6 issues. So I was like, already I was like, are we going to have a direct 1-to-1? What are we doing here? And if you go into a comic book adaptation of a series and you're expecting a direct 1-to-1, prepare yourself to be let down because you never get it.
No, I don't think anyone has done it, actually.
You got to do it different.
The closest ever adaptation is the Watchmen movie, which is almost like some things are like shot for shot Watchmen the comic, and the lines of dialogue aren't changed at all. Of course, the end, there's a big dramatic difference. I won't spoil Watchmen. You know what I mean? How dare I?
How dare you?
Yeah. But I think it's interesting because... on the channel, we did Umbrella Academy, which was it a year ago now, almost?
Yeah, seems like it.
Seems that way anyways. And Umbrella Academy was the same thing. We had a season, 10 episodes. And in Umbrella Academy, it was like a weird mix of 2 of the volumes. And I think that both of these have done it very successfully. I wouldn't say that they diminish the value or anything. If anything, both stories... just share the same ingredients and they decide to bake a different dish. You know what I mean? But both are really nice. Oh, and Sabrina. Sabrina's the same thing too. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I read that comic book. We haven't really ever done it on the channel, but it's the same thing. Like it gets really remixed, although that one is pretty different from the comic. So
I have no reference point for either of them.
I keep forgetting that we just talked about this, that you haven't seen Umbrella Academy. It just felt like everyone like in the group watched Umbrella Academy, but you were like, You know, if you like Locke and Key, I honestly think Umbrella Academy might be a little bit better.
Maybe I'll check it out.
It's worth watching. It's like the same length. Anyway, so Locke and Key, the premise of the show, basically there's a family, the Lockes, whose father has recently been killed in front of them. And just months later, we catch the story with them. They're moving into Key House in Massachusetts. I don't want to get super crazy with the like, oh, well, in the comic, this blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But in the comic book, it's Lovecraft, Massachusetts. Is it Lovecraft, Massachusetts in the show?
I don't think I've heard it mentioned.
No. And I remember the scene, like, when...
No, they call the town something else.
When they first get there, it says Massachusetts. It doesn't even say the town name, like, right away.
They've definitely mentioned the town. They talk about all the town's lore all the time. It's not coming
Oh,
in my head
yeah.
right now. I don't have it down in my notes. But already, just with this like opening, I'm already feeling a little bit robbed. Just because we both experienced both things at the same time for the first time. You know what I mean? We read volume 1 and then we immediately started watching this series, or like started watching the
Yeah.
series and then read volume 1. So I'm watching the beginning thinking like, oh, they robbed me of the death. What's going to happen? But that's just me not wanting to trust this Netflix series. Because watching the trailer, you get that like teen drama vibe already.
Oh,
so we already
yeah.
had the sneaking suspicion that it might like not be so great.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I was taking notes while we were watching episode 1, just comparing stuff, and they're all gripes, but it's really just, I mean, I want to throw them all out because, except for a couple, and I'll talk about them
okay,
pertaining to episode 1. You meet all the characters. There's Ty, the oldest son, who is not very brooding at all. And that's one of the things
Oh,
I liked
yeah.
about his character so much in the comic book. He's just like
That is a big
so
difference.
tormented. He's such a tormented teen
Yeah.
and huge. And I was already thinking like, this little kid, am I supposed to believe that this little boy smashed Sam Lesser's face in with a brick? And it's because he didn't. They didn't mess up Sam's face at all, really.
Yeah, it's all
Like
the mom.
Nina hit him, yeah.
It's just the mom who hit Sam Lesser, who is the person who killed the father.
Yes.
And they defended themselves from him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
But anyways.
Ty's pretty different. I think that, and my general comment about all the characters is I think the TV show develops them better. I don't know if it's necessarily at the fault of the comic as much as it's way more content.
Yeah.
The first season is much more than what the comic book
True.
volume 1 is. I mean, Ty is still kind of athletic. He's like the hockey player, and I think he's supposed to be a big guy.
Yeah.
But the actor that they picked, I mean, he's not.
I mean, there's no way
he's
they're
not
going to
tiny.
find somebody who is actually a monster like Ty from the comic books.
Yeah. And I don't know if they
Because that
necessarily
kid's
need
just
to
meaty.
be.
Yeah.
In the comic books, it was almost like comical. Like
Yeah.
they're kind of blown out of proportion. And sometimes that, some comic book characters just aren't castable in like the sense that we see them. Like comic book Joker, like to get someone who looks like that, the people's faces don't like exist.
They don't do that.
Yeah, they don't do that. And if they do, it's like probably very painful or something.
Got something going on there.
Who else is there? Ty, that's the eldest son.
That's the eldest son. And then you have Kinsey, the eldest and youngest, because she's the only daughter.
okay.
So she and the middle child.
Okay. I was going to say middle child.
There's probably
easier.
less confusing ways to say that, but
Yeah.
that's not what I'm here to do, David. I mean, just as you said, it has more character to her for sure in the show than the comic book.
Yeah.
But I feel like it really doesn't develop till a little bit later on. Even in this first episode 1, she's a little bit more of one of the blander characters. But
Yes.
maybe it's just because we don't get to touch on her as much. But she's just kind of like sad.
Yeah. She's just very sad.
Yeah.
Very closed in, which is understandable given the circumstances.
Sad times.
I think the immediate attraction in the beginning is Bodhi.
Yes.
Because he's so full of life and energetic.
Mm-hmm.
And in the comic book, kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? He's the one exploring the house.
A little more rambunctious in the comic book for sure.
I think also portrayed a little bit older than Bodhi.
Yeah,
in the
I think
comic
so.
book.
We were discussing. I mean, and comment if you think we're totally wrong, but it feels like Bodhi in the comic book is like 5, 6, 7 somewhere in there.
Yeah, like early primary grades.
Yes.
Whereas this other Bodhi is like a 5th grader, maybe.
And he's
Or
also
even, he's probably really like a middle school age kid, but he's portraying a 5th grader. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But, well, to really get into that character, though, so when they get to Key House, a house that has been in the Locke family for generations, and the Locke patriarch, Rendell Locke, is the one who's dead. It was his family. Like, his wife is the one who's married in. They find out that the house is filled with magical keys, and that the keys all have different attributes. And that's really like Bodhi's early character and the exploration of what the rules of the universe are, because he's the one who is discovering the keys.
Just stumbles upon them first.
Yeah, and then experiments with them. And really, pushes the narrative for the first couple episodes. Like no one else even really knows what's going on other than Bodhi for a while.
Yeah, he's really the only one like rolling up his sleeves and getting his arms dirty. There in the first episode or two, there's this like a whole stressful thing Bodhi has going on with just putting his whole forearm in danger. Just using that arm willy-nilly, just shoving it into mirrors and garbage disposals. So I mean, it makes you feel like he's gonna lose some fingers.
Yeah, real quick. So I have this was bothering me so much when I was watching it. Bodhi is played by Jackson Robert Scott, who is best known as Georgie in Stephen King's It, which is written by Joe Hill's father. You know what I mean? And in It Chapter 2, in It Chapter 1, it's the beginning of the movie, and probably like one of the scariest scenes of the movie is when Pennywise is luring Georgie into the sewer, and then he just rips his arm off completely. So when I was watching Locke and Key, man, I couldn't get past that. I was like, they keep putting this kid's arm in danger. And it was like the first 3 episodes they keep doing, because it's the 2 you talked about. There's this mirror that he finds a key that unlocks a mirror. And in the mirror, there's like an evil reflection of you. He looks sinister. He looks
it's
like
a trap. What do they call it? Like the trap of many selves.
Yeah, that's what it is. The trap of many selves, or the pit of many selves, or something
like that.
They look like the people in Us, that like creepy smile they get when they look at their doppelganger. But yeah, Bodhi immediately sticks his arm into this like parallel dimension or something. And then, yeah, you're right. Later, he finds another key, or it might even be the mirror key. Now that I'm thinking about it, he finds a key in the garbage disposal.
Yeah.
So all the keys in
and he's like up to his elbow in that thing.
Yeah, he goes all the way in. The keys in Key House whisper, and that's how you find them. And exactly like that. And only Bodhi can hear them for a while, but he hears one in the garbage disposal.
He's the only one listening.
And it's set up earlier that there's something like iffy about that garbage disposal. So then you see this kid sticking his arm, and I'm like, no way, they're gonna rip this kid's like. And I feel like it's the same arm that he gets ripped off in it, because that scene is like burned in my brain a little bit. But then they do one more. He gets a bear trap later.
Oh yeah,
when he thinks that someone's after. So then he opens his bear trap, and you see this little kid trying to force open this giant metal bear trap.
It's like not good.
I'm like, oh my God. And then he sets his arm down to place the key on the little, whatever you call it, the mechanism.
Mm-hmm. Same arm. It was definitely that right arm.
It's the right arm over and over and over again. And it was like driving my anxiety out. I'm like, this was
imagine they just chopped this kid's arm off for no reason.
This had to be an intentional decision.
Just so Joe Hill could be like,
they had to outdo Walking Dead instead of like getting off easy and not doing like chopping Rick's arm off.
They like add an arm
chopping to like a small child. That'll show you Walking Dead.
That would have been cool though.
That would have been pretty cool.
I would have been like, yeah.
I don't know if it would have fit with the rest of the story, but it would have definitely been not. Unseen TV. I would have been like, what were you doing right now?
And I mean, episode 1 is like episode 1 of every other show. You know what I mean? You're just like setting characters. This is kind of where it's going to go. But do we meet Dodge? By the beginning, by the end, right? We meet Dodge in the first episode.
Big stuff happens in the first episode with Dodge, or at this point, what's referred to as the Echo, the lady in the well. Bodhi talks to her, and all you hear is his voice coming from the well, and the well is just saying like, "I'm your Echo," and is telling him to look for keys.
Yes.
And Bodhi ends up giving the key to Echo, the Anywhere key, at the end of the first episode. Like, so much happens. But you know what? The one thing that was different from the comic book, and I really liked how they did it, in the show, he shows up the well house, and he has a photo, and the photo accidentally falls down the well. And then he turns around, and when he turns back around, the photo is like on the edge of the well. And I just thought that was such a cool, like kind of creepy scene.
Okay, this thing's not trapped down there.
Yeah.
Like something's going on.
What is going on here? Okay, so who else do we have? We have those are the kids of the Locke family.
Yeah, I forgot about all the rest of the characters. And then we obviously have Nina.
Yeah.
Who is Mama Locke. who is obviously, I mean, just like everybody else, totally distraught at the loss of her husband, recovering alcoholic. She's in her 6th year of sobriety. She's got 6 years in the pocket, doing a great job. And she's moved her family back here for a fresh start. That's what she's got going on. Then we got good old Uncle Dunk.
Yeah.
And I felt like it would have been really fun. They would have gotten Bill Hader instead and just do one more
It crop. Man, I mean, if Bill Hader would have been down,
and he would have been
down.
Honestly, like, and then like the actor they got does a great job. I have his name as my notes, but I closed my notebook.
Don't hate on Uncle Duncan.
I mean, he's doing all right.
No, I'm just joking.
It's like it's heavy-handed. It's like too much peanut butter on the sandwich.
His name is Aaron Ashmore, and he is in. Oh my gosh.
What's he in?
I
David?
thought he was the guy in X-Men. I thought he was the guy who played Iceman in X-Men. But that's his brother,
really?
Sean Ashmore. He was born
brother of Iceman.
They're twins.
He's Heat Miser?
They're twins.
Is that what you're telling me right now? Really?
Yes, he plays Pyro. No, I'm just joking. No, but Aaron Ashmore is in Veronica Mars, which Michelle is going to hate that she didn't get that. That's and he's good. Like a character who's on the show for years.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I can't wait to let her know right now.
Yeah.
Great show. Great show, Veronica Mars.
I mean, Aaron Ashmore did a great job, but I mean, Bill Hader.
Oh, yeah.
He would have knocked it out of the park.
You know, and something I just want to comment on, I'm not even saying this is bad, because I think people complain about this on the internet. It's like, get over yourself. But they made his character gay in the Netflix show. And he was not gay in the comic book. I don't even remember him mentioning that he had someone in his life in the comic book. He's kind of a thinner character.
Yeah.
But here they mention that he does have a husband and that he lives like a city over. He's there to help him as like a brotherly duty, which is cool. But I just thought that was interesting. It's like a very Netflixy thing to do.
Yes.
And they do the same thing in Sabrina. In Sabrina, they add in a whole cast of side characters that are all teenagers that go to Sabrina's school, which is exactly what happens in this. But one of the characters is transgender. I'm sorry, they're not gay, but I think... Well, now I can't remember what their sexual orientation is. Their gender identity is transgender, but it was an element that just was not at all in the comic book, but that was added in. So there's like a little bit of like progressivism going on.
I don't Netflix?
know. Yeah, I know, right? But I don't think it... You know, I don't understand the complaints necessarily. Of course, this is such an ancillary character.
I mean, it's just a thing that you can expect from something like this.
But like, if Marvel, if Marvel puts out an X-Men movie and they make like Wolverine gay, can you imagine?
Ooh, the backlash.
Yeah. It's like, guys, he's a tiny little, furry mammal. Obviously.
Be an otter.
So... Let me see here. I'm trying to look and see where these notes are. I took notes sparsely because you know what? I did find myself very like wrapped into the show.
Yeah, it pulls you right in.
I really wanted to understand like what was going on.
You can't, or at least it's very hard to compare them quality wise to each other because they're both very enjoyable. The each medium on its own, like the comic book's fantastic, at least what I've read so far. And the show I truly enjoyed, like overall. I don't feel like it's too early into the episode to say like I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's really good. Well, let's talk about Dodge a little bit. I think that would be the next Dodge, logical thing. So it's the lady in the well. She is some sort of demon entity. We're not entirely... Well, we get more and more towards the end.
Yes.
And the ending...
we know now, but...
The ending gets pretty crazy. It's like very like celestial. It's much bigger than like the small scope that you're presented with at the beginning.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. But anyways, Dodge is the Echo in the well, and she appears as a beautiful woman, but shape shifts throughout the show.
Yes.
I thought the character was good. I don't know if it was anything super original. I don't know if it had to be. You know what I mean? It's very serviceable.
Yeah.
I like her relationship with Bodhi a lot because for a long time, she's just intimidating him.
Yeah.
Once she gets the Anywhere key, you're able to open the door and go to any door that you've seen in your life. So she can walk into the house at any time.
Yeah, and this is just like a clearly evil thing
Yeah.
She like throws a young boy in front of a subway.
Oh yeah.
Just like murders that child.
And she's trying to find these keys.
Yes.
We're not actually.
She's got to have all the keys. You got to catch them all.
We never know what she's trying to do.
Yeah, we don't know what her like main
objective is. And we still don't know at the end of the show, which I think is kind of really interesting. Because knowing like what's in the door.
Yeah, we know that's what she wants to do. We don't know why.
Yeah, she wants the Omega key, but we're not sure yet. Anyway.
Sure, it's not going to be good.
Oh man, I totally lost track of where I was at.
We're talking about her character, her having kind of like a big nose, which was really hot. Or maybe I was just thinking that while you were talking.
That is probably just what you were thinking about. Oh yeah, but she has this relationship with Bodhi where she's intimidating him, coming into his room unannounced, even
just
like choking him. But then like we learn the rules that the Locke family has some sort of magical power over, like
they're the keeper of the keys.
Yeah, you can't take a key from a Locke, which is
they're the key masters. Are you the gatekeeper?
She's not the gatekeeper.
No,
maybe
she's not.
I am though. I don't know.
Maybe we all are.
But it's cool because when Bodhi like learns these rules, he really starts messing with her. He's like, "Well, you can't kill me, like, because you need me to willingly give you this key." And of course, the battle there goes back and forth. I think it's good tension building.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't want to talk about the ending just yet.
You feel Bodhi's fear like throughout the series. You know what I mean? You like feel bad for this kid trying to like taking like a blacksmith's hammer to school to like try and protect himself. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what else we get? We start to learn about the dad's past life. So we learn that Rendell like lived here, and he never talked about his family or anything. But a big plot point in the show is that
Rendell doesn't have like fond memories of this place. It's not a place he likes to come to.
Yeah, he never even wanted them.
Come to.
He never even wanted them to go to Key House. Yeah. And we learned that there's been like a tragedy that some of his friends died when he graduated high school. All these people there. One of them is like his surviving friend who is one of the coaches at the school. And also her son is like the groundskeeper of Key House.
Yes.
So they're kind of like closely related to the Locks. They show up a lot. But that whole section I think is really interesting. The show takes on like kind of like a mystery where you get little clues about what these relationships are with people and some big red herrings too. Some big things just to throw you off the track.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
A lot of like, ooh, it could be anyone.
Well, you know what else? We got to talk about the Friends, the thing that Netflix had to add because
the Savinis and the extras.
Yeah, they had to add all these characters because if not, teenagers wouldn't watch the show. I just feel like it has to have this kind of like little love triangle thing going on. Like Riverdale was successful and now every show has to have a little bit of Riverdale in it or something.
Yeah, somebody's got to set the trend.
Yeah. And you know what? If you've somehow stumbled upon this podcast and you are yourself a young teen who really enjoyed the show, I don't even really mean it as a mean thing or something. Like the show is, everything has a target audience. You know what I mean? I think
somebody put a lot of thought into what they made because a lot of money went into it and has to do well. Yeah, that's just the way it works.
And it's also a business, right? Yeah. So they have to take like calculated risks. They can't make a really dark, gritty, like joyless story like they do in the comic book.
Yeah, because people might love it, but they also might not. You might not catch everybody. You're definitely not going to catch the same big crowd. You know what I mean? That's a given.
Yeah, which like I guess Walking Dead kind of did the same thing. They really jumped back from a few things. Although
they didn't kill the freaking baby, David.
Game of Thrones makes it seem like you can get away with that.
Yeah.
Of course.
So they should have just gone for it.
But now, I mean, Game of Thrones is over and it's not exactly looked back on fondly. So,
well,
did it work?
Endings, you know what I mean? Some people have trouble with endings.
So, anyway, speaking of the Kings, no, I was joking. That was the other thing I was thinking of this whole time. Just like, oh man, what if this ending
but
is
how
just
does
the
it
worst
end?
thing ever? And it is kind of, in a way, like very Stephen King. Like it's super big and outlandish, and then, but I think. Anyway, well, blah, 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 blah. Anyway.
Yada.
Back to the teenagers. I don't want to get to the ending yet. I keep jumping all over the place.
It's hard not to.
It is. The Savinis. Who are the Savinis, Frank?
The Savinis. Well, They're a bunch of nerds, you know?
Yeah.
Kinsey finds this group of nerds, film nerds to be exact, who have donned themselves a name, who have bequeathed themselves the name, who have named themselves the Savinis after the director, right? The film
after the
maker.
film director Tom Savini. They're big
Yes.
fans of Savini, which I think is just adorable because Tom Savini must have been really good friends with Stephen King. Like all those guys were like George Romero. They were all within that like inner circle.
Just getting creepy together.
Yeah. So for Joe, this might be like his Uncle Tom. You know what I mean? Uncle
That's sweet. I
Savini.
didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. It's just like telling everybody his story. Back when I knew this kid when he was just a little tiger, a little stinker.
And Savini shows up for a cameo too.
Got to get the cameos
Yeah.
in. What would a King family film be without a cameo?
Right?
But anyways, the Savinis, God, and I can't remember his name right now. I feel so terrible. The main Savini, the love interest.
Scott with one T.
Scott with one T. British, you know, that I feel like it's important to talk to. Just it's a thing.
Yeah.
He's British.
Yeah, he's a black British guy.
Yeah, he's been implanted here.
Which is interesting because in Sabrina, there's a black British guy who is not in the comic book.
Okay, that's part of the formula in the machine.
That's what I'm telling you. Like Netflix has these weird, like they have a checklist, and when they're adapting something, they're like, okay, well, we gotta get this.
Damn, do you think the Obamas had their hand in this at all?
Well, they did do that big Netflix deal, so maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you know, every time I see something new on Netflix, I was like, was it the Obamas? Is this what they're working on?
Is this what they're working on?
I feel like it should have a little stamp. I'm just curious. I just want to know.
Well, one of them does.
Really?
Because I remember seeing one that was like a documentary or something. And I remember it was like, you know, it had Obama written somewhere on the thumbnail. I remember thinking like, wow, okay.
Very interesting. I have to keep my eyes peeled. So yeah, Scott ends up being the love interest for Kinsey.
And can I say he's a sweetheart?
Oh yeah, love Scott. Love the character. Yeah. Dope character. And then the rest of the Savinis, there's like that one and then the other one. I don't 100% remember what their names are.
To be fair, most of the other Savini characters are like very background.
They're background. They get one-liners every now and then.
They're like
they're there to
characters.
like help push the conversation along
and to work on the movie that they're doing.
I mean, somebody's got to carry all the equipment. They couldn't just had like, hey, we're the Savinis, and it's just Scott with one T. You know what I mean? I'm the Savini.
No, he's got to have a crew.
Yeah, gotta have a crew.
He's an aspiring director.
Yeah.
And they're making a movie called The Splattering.
The Splattering.
And so they're all working on it together. And they seem like they take it very seriously.
Oh, yeah. They're like not joking around about it. Scott did a bunch of... He's basing it off of the local lore from the town.
Yeah.
Which serves to help Kinsey because he has a bunch of knowledge of this place she has no knowledge about. Ends up helping her try to solve mysteries and stuff like that. Works out very well for them.
It does. And you know what else? This just seems like such a horror thing, but when in a horror related story, you have a character who knows a lot about the process, but like maybe shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like how do all these kids know about, boom audio and like just everything they had? It seemed like they were like semi-professional.
The internet.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Nowadays, the internet.
They probably saw a YouTube video on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just reminds me of Friday the 13th part 4. When little Tommy Jarvis, played by, you know, one of the Coreys, he has that room filled of all these like masks, these like latex masks he's making. It's like, well, your movie prop guy made that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can just imagine like the sound department on like working on Locke and Key being like, no, it wouldn't look like that. Like here, you know what I mean? Like they would know how to make it look authentically DIY because those guys have probably had to do it at one point in time.
Yeah, at one point, like back on that college project I did, this is how we had to do that. I love the like microphone just taped to the hockey stick.
Yeah, exactly. I love stuff like that. And the movie looks so bad.
Yeah.
It looks so bad. It's like this giant crab monster, but it's so cool.
And speaking of the crab monster, we enter in the newest Savinian, whose name also escapes me right now. Would you happen to remember this kid's name, David?
Is it Javi?
No,
Zach.
It's not Javi. Zach? Is that his name?
I'm just guessing because Zach is his character's equivalent in the comic book. Rufus.
No.
Which guy are you talking about?
I'm talking about the one that ends up with the love triangle.
Yeah, Gabe?
Gabe. Yeah, that sounds right.
Griffin Cluck.
Yeah, he just moved in.
Yeah.
Got roped in.
Yeah.
Roped into making this movie, just trying to make new friends. You know what I mean?
In a very similar circumstance as
very
Lindsay.
similar. Yeah, he's like, what? It's a divorce that sent him there, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was.
Pretty sure.
And he doesn't really play a big part until towards the end.
Yeah, not a lot going on there.
You know, this is a good time to talk about one of the keys that they discover, though. They find the head key. And to me, this was one of the most interesting, like mind-boggling powers that they could have. Like the anywhere key.
Oh, it is interesting, David.
You open the door, you step to the door, simple. You know what I mean? But the head key, you would literally put it into the back of your neck, unlock it, and you could go inside your own like subconscious and your memories,
or
and
go
everything.
into other people's subconsciouses.
Yeah, and the reason I bring this up now is because this is where Kenzie's character has her like big story, really, like
awakening
when
her plot.
Inside her head, there's like a monster version of her.
It's her fear.
It's her fear. It's a manifestation of her fear, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
It reminds me of the video game Psychonauts, where you are a psychic detective and you go into people's heads, but you can use psychic powers to like help them alleviate trauma, and then they'll like become better people. You know what I mean? But there's this whole thing where you have to collect these little floating images, and they're called figments of their imagination. You know what I mean?
Nice.
There's just good wordplay.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
You have to find baggage, and you have to unite it with its tag to get rid of all of your extra baggage. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
There's really funny little like punny stuff, but it kind of reminded me of that. I was like, wow, fear would like, you know, that is the embodiment of fear. Like some kind of monster lives inside of you.
And it's like your own worst enemy. Like,
yeah.
And then Kinsey proves, well, not really. Like Kinsey, she goes into her head and attacks her fear like head on. And she kills it for a second, stuffs it in a bag, drags it out into the woods and buries it.
Into the real world.
Into the real world. She took her fear out of her head.
And this also sets up the rule in this universe that things can be taken out and put back in.
Yep. That's an important rule. Rules are important.
And we also learned that like even injuries you sustain, like everything is very much real in there. It's Matrix rules, basically.
Yes.
You die in your head, you die.
You die.
Although, no, your body probably wouldn't die. You'd be like a vegetable because your subconscious is dead.
True.
I don't know. That part actually gets a little bit confusing.
So for a second, it seems like, wow, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Because Kinsey's just like, she's gotten rid of her fear. But she has no fear.
Yeah.
Like any kind of fear, like of any kind of consequences, whether it be physical or social.
and in a very bedazzled style situation, her wish backfires and she becomes like an insufferable character.
Yeah. Like a bad person.
And for a while I was just like, ugh, why are they making Kenzie like this? And then I thought about it. I was like, oh, well, yeah, like she wouldn't do this. She'd be making bad decisions without any repercussions because she has no fear.
Yeah, that's exactly what would happen.
It's pretty clever. Like, I think it's an interesting way to write it. This is not at all in volume 1 of the comic book, which I thought was so interesting. And this is all...
and maybe it's something that's going to happen later. That's something we definitely know about the show. It's the furthest from a direct one-to-one because they're just telling this story. I mean, however they want to tell it this time, like in this new version. I mean, it's Joe Hill writing.
And
like
it's him writing. So he's
team.
at the helm. You know, he's still
just like, let's do it this way.
And I do just, you know, if you've watched the show and you haven't read the book, this isn't, I mean, it sounds like it's a spoiler, but it really isn't. But they find the head key in like the last page
of volume
1. So you know that all the head key stuff could happen in volume 2 and it could go down. Like maybe she goes in and kills her fear and the same kind of events happen. But just that everything else is messed around because Sam Lesser and the ending that we kind of get in the show is more or less the same.
Yeah.
Minus all these extra characters that we've found.
And who knows if that's the end for Sam anyways, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of what else. You know, there's a lot of relationship stuff, which I don't even think is necessary to go over.
Let's just gloss over it. That's not what I'm here for.
Ty's got a girlfriend who's British.
Yeah.
And there is actually one funny thing about...
No, she's not British. She's obsessed with...
she's an Anglophile, right?
Anglophile, yes.
When they discover the head key, Tyler uses it for evil. and he takes a book on like British history and throws it into his head through like the door. And now he's just absorbed all of that knowledge, which sounds like, guys, you really underutilize that ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you could do anything in the world with that ability.
For reals.
Yeah.
He just used it to try to like carry on a conversation with this girl,
Yeah.
which he ended up doing so very clunkily. The humor in the show is like good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, the
it is.
writing's solid. All the parts, the fear, the humor, it's all good.
Which I made that comment earlier about it feeling kind of like a teeny show, and you can tell that.
Yeah.
But it's not written in a, if you're like an older person and that idea kind of like turns you off to watching it, it's not cheesy or corny at all.
No.
I think the writing is really good.
Not a single bazinga.
The only character that is the kid who plays Bodhi, actually. I'm not totally always convinced by his performance. And I feel I don't. The problem is I just watched AI Artificial Intelligence. I just watched an amazing child actor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what, you can't hold all child actors to Haley Joel Osment standards. You just can't do it.
It's just ridiculous.
Not everybody can be a Haley Joel or a Macaulay, you know.
Mac, yeah. But
sometimes you have to wait to bloom like a Kieran.
it's just that in it, you don't notice it because he gets his arm ripped off. and then he's back a few times, but he's just saying creepy things. Like, in this show, he really acts. And I'm sure he'll grow up and be a fine actor. Or just, you know, crash
do
and
something
burn,
else.
like
yeah.
like a child actor.
I mean, and he might not even crash and burn. He might just end up like
Yeah.
owning a car dealership.
I'm a
in
dentist.
Like Boise. Yeah, he could be a dentist.
Oof, Dennis.
You can do whatever you want, kid. The future's ahead of you.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. Man, I don't know where all that started, but the head key, yeah. So who knows how these two things are going to be kind of linked? Where's the next logical place? I think we can jump to the ending, man. I don't know.
I mean, really, like, that's the whole. We don't want to just go through and spoil every moment of every.
Yeah, or just talk scene for scene, like what you more likely just watched.
Yeah, so really, we just really wanted to start a discussion about this series, which honestly, like, I don't have any real complaints about, like, at this time. I'm very excited with everything that's going on. Like the mystery aspects, the magic aspects, not as brutal as like the comic book had got me ramped up to be. Hey, but I still have like another 5 volumes to read of that comic book, so at least there's that.
And also, in a way, man, when we get to the ending, it is more brutal.
Yeah, for reals.
Okay,
yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So the keys are going back and forth, right? And
it's capture the key at this point.
Yeah, and
really quick side note: Ty slept with a demon. Can't gloss over that.
Oh yeah,
we just gotta mention Ty slept with a demon. Is that okay for your health? Are you like carrying something now? He should go get tested. At least.
You would think every demon would have every STD, just out of just like, that's how a demon would work.
Yeah.
Like, if you had sex with a demon,
you don't have all your STDs. Like they get them in their vaccinations when they're little.
Exactly.
Like
that's
your
a demon
STDs.
world to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ty does, and well, she's trying to seduce him to get him to give her.
I mean, not even trying. He nailed it.
She
got
wants
him
2 keys in particular, and she gets one of them early on, the Anywhere key. But she also wants the Omega key to open up the black door, is how it's referred to in the comic book. In the show, we discover the door when they go down and try and film the splattering in the sea caves. The sea caves are out back behind Locke or Key house, and that is the area of the incident, the drowning that killed a bunch of Rendell. I keep wanting to like mess that name up. Rendell, Locke's friends. But when they go down to those sea caves to film the movie, Kinsey's snooping around and finds the door in the shape of the Omega symbol. So
pretty sick door.
It's a cool door, and there's like this blue light coming out of it.
It says like this probably shouldn't be opened, but also like, hey, you want to open me, right? Though,
and this is what I'm talking about as being kind of like a King style ending, where it's something like really crazy, like
my
another dimension shows up. The show is very much like there's a lot of it in it, and I was telling you and Brandon about it in the comic book based episode. I won't go totally into it, but there's just so many similarities in how the story's set up. I think though the TV show has so much extra to it that it feels less than like when I was reading the comic book. I was like, wow, this is just it. And there's still a few scenes like that, like the well lady talking to him through the painting and everything. It feels like Pennywise in an old book or something. But I don't know. It still stands on its own. Anyway, they need the Omega Key. And then this is where we find out that Dodge, the Echo Lady, has been working with Sam Lesser. Like, she lets him out by using a key that we don't even see in the comic. This one's cool, too. It's like a fire igniter.
Yeah.
You just touch things and they, like, set on fire. So the Locks are at Key House, and now they... Dodge is, like, threatening, trying to get the Omega Key, and Sam Lesser is on his way to, like, kill them and try and get the key himself. So they have two different kinds of enemies attacking them at once. But basically, like, there's a lot that's different now that I think about it.
Yeah, there's huge differences in, like, what's going on there.
Yeah, the Crown of Shadows thing that they have in the show.
And who knows if that's going to be a thing later, because we're not even to, like... In Volume 1, where it ends, we're not even anywhere near this confrontation. Do you know what I mean? Like...
Well, the Sam Lesser part,
which is the but it's not. Yeah. It doesn't have like the Dodge all over on top of it.
It seems like Dodge's development's way further.
Yes,
Sam Lesser shows up and tries to get the keys from them. Has all the family tied up.
Just got everybody at gunpoint.
But he is just not successful.
No, he actually Kinsey leads him out and uses her fear.
Yeah,
for good again.
Finally, to attack him.
Yeah, to attack him. Scratches him up real good.
It doesn't kill him, though, right?
No, she just got scratched real hard.
They get Sam Lesser with the ghost door, don't they?
Yes, Sam Lesser gets got with the ghost door. Well,
yeah.
Dodge stabs him in the heart.
Yes, that's right.
And then he like falls through the ghost door trying to like escape. And he is now a ghost on the Locke property at the Key House.
And we didn't talk about this entirely, but there is a key, the ghost key, that when you put it into a door and then you walk through that door, you turn into a ghost.
That's funny. I thought we had talked about it, but that's because we talked about it like an hour and a half ago on the Apollo City Comics.
Yeah, this is confusing, everyone. Just so you know, we're like filming or recording both these podcasts the same night.
Yeah, it's recording day.
And it's like, this is kind of confusing because I want to make sure that I don't like skip something obvious that we talked about already, but I also don't want to just say the exact same thing. Yeah. It's like a delicate line. But yeah, the ghost key, when you go through that door, you become a ghost. But if that door shuts while you're out being a ghost,
bye body,
you're ghost forevers.
Ghosty.
Which I think I was like trying to understand the rule, but then I thought, well, how would it open again?
Yeah,
because technically, when someone else opens it, then if they step in, they're
the ghost.
So that's why the rule has to exist. It causes chaos. But that is very similar to what happens in the comic book, which I thought was cool. They keep that Sam Lesser thing pretty much the same. I do like the way that it kind of goes down in the show a lot more. Them being tied up. There's like a little more suspense to it.
Oh, it's definitely
leading him out into
going
the woods.
Into the last episode of the first season. You're like, man, it is like about to go down.
Yeah, you really do feel that. So this part gets really kind of tricky to talk about, but Dodge has this face-changing key that she's had the whole time, but we really find out that she is really he. And he is a friend of Rendell Locke's from when they're kids. Luke
Caravaggio.
They all knew about the Omega Door down in the Sea Cove.
Yes.
And Sea Cave. And when they were
also
down there
cave.
And they opened it up because they were all messing around with these keys, when you open the door, it's like another dimension, which was just so super cool.
Yeah, that thing was... It looked like the dimension was alive, you know what I mean? Almost like it was sentient, the way it was shooting those little flying golden bullets out.
And then the bullets, if they touch you, you become like demon possessed. So the well lady, Echo, Dodge, whatever you want to call him, Luke, is the same entity that's been around since then. And they tried to kill him, but I guess they just trapped him in the well house, knowing that you can't kill something like that. So anyways, Luke has been staying with Ellis, who is another one of the friends who survived.
I'm pretty sure she's Ellie.
Or is it Ellie?
Yeah,
I thought
I'm
it was
pretty sure
Coach
her-
Ellis.
No, I'm pretty sure her name's Ellie.
Are you sure her name's not Ellie Ellis?
I'm pretty sure her name is Ellie. It's me. It's Ellie.
Oh, you're right. It's Ellie Whedon. Oops. Anyway, Ellie. I'm glad you caught that. And she's staying there with Ellie and her son. Or he. I don't know how you... And they even joke about it, don't they? Like, what's the pronoun or something like that?
Yeah.
They have a line about it because it is confusing. You're like, what is a demon's orientation if they're just switching between these bodies?
I think for a demon, you're safe with it.
Yeah, I think so. So long story short, they get this crown of shadows, which allows you to control shadows and attack with them. And there's this pretty cool scene of them like fighting to keep the lights on in the house and using flashlights to like knock them out.
Yeah, that feels good. Like, you know, one of those stupid shadow monsters isn't going to get them because they've made it this far. But
Yeah.
it still like feels intense. You know what I mean? It's a lot of fun. He's running around with his weird little like
His
lightsaber
knockoff
that you get at like
lightsaber?
a rodeo.
Yeah. With the flame key attached on the end, he like
That's
tapes
pretty
it on there.
dope. Yeah, when he makes a weapon,
he pulls a Dead Rising and just like combines a weapon real fast.
That's
Crafts
good
himself
stuff.
something. But yeah, they fight Dodge, and it appears as if they knock Dodge out. So the youngins,
and this
the
is
Locke
where we're gonna
kids-
get to like some spoiler, but it's
heavy
it's what
spoiler.
makes it so good. So like that's what we have to talk about.
Yeah. The Locke kids and their whole group of rapscallions they've collected along this way, they're all there. They carry this body down to the Omega door to toss
Just
it back
loosely wrapped in like a sheet.
Yeah.
Not tied
taped,
down
and they know
and
that
wasting all the time that they can
we know the demon can just like wake up and punch a hole through their chest or something.
at any moment.
And yeah, you're right. They're taking their time.
Like they bring everybody over to the house and then they all have to like clear the air really quick. You know what I mean? They all
Yeah.
have like a conversation. Even Scott with 1T is like, hey guys, like this is nice and all, but I gotta be the guy. Like, what are we gonna do about this demon? Like we gotta
For
get moving.
real. Dude, that is such a pet peeve of mine.
My goodness.
When there's a situation in the movie and the characters aren't reacting to how like intense the circumstances are.
And sure enough, like when they finally make it to the black door and they're discussing even more like how this is all going to go down,
Yeah.
Demon starts waking up a little bit. And it's like, guys, if you had just not lollygagged, this would
Yeah.
not have even been a problem.
Yeah, you guys could have sat there and had a discussion if you wanted to.
If you would have been efficient when it was important, you could have taken this last part as leisurely as you wanted
or
to.
just have your conversation while carrying the body. Because
Yeah, talk and walk, folks.
The sea cave is very far. It's not like a mile, but it's a good distance from Key House to carry a body. Anyway.
Has some time. What did they talk about when they were walking out there?
Yeah, right. You know, this also had a big problem with me too, because they talk about it in the show, like, what if this is what she wants? Like the demon. What if Dodge wants us to return him to the, and what if we cause something terrible?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you know, we got to do it. What's our other option, really? They open up the door. They toss that as Dodge is waking up, and you can see some real fear in the eyes.
Terrified.
And they close that door back up, and it's later as we're wrapping up the epilogue that we find out that like that was not Dodge. That Dodge had used the face shifting key on Ellie, one of the friends, and made Ellie look like Dodge. And there's this whole little thing of like them showing how like
They
knocked her
do
unconscious,
a little
left the body
usual
there.
suspects little wraparound.
And then it's just so intense, dude, to think that this character has been basically banished to like hell or something.
Yeah. Like
That's intense,
the
dude.
horror.
That is way more terrifying than like, I hit this guy with a brick in the face. You know what I mean? Like that's bloody and maybe like off-putting to see, but like to think about.
Like that's on the level of like murdering everybody in the car and your son moments before rescue comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
like
real.
that is like a rough ending.
Yeah,
Like,
ooh.
like that's a rough ending for Ellie Wheaton.
But then we find out that the other part of this love triangle this whole time was Logan was also Dodge.
Oh, you mean Luke?
Luke, sorry. It's too many L names. Luke. No, not Luke.
Oh, not, is it George?
No, I think it is
Gabe.
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 Oh, and Gabe
Logan.
has no last name, which is interesting. All the other characters
Just
have last name.
Gabe.
Just Gabe. But yeah, we find out that Gabe is also been Dodge,
Mm-hmm.
who showed up as the new kid. and has been like really entwined and playing a totally different angle than Dodge has played all the other ones.
100%.
It's cool. It makes Dodge such a cool villain. Like,
but
very smart.
Also, one of those little golden bullets stuck the ditzy, who's really been like the bully this whole time, but now she's part of the gang because she got attacked by the fear monster. I don't remember her name.
No,
but
I don't
one of the
either.
other teenagers, you know what I mean?
She's like the
She's
cheerleader.
supposed to be like, the
I'm pretty
mean
sure
girl.
she's Eden.
Eden, that sounds right. Eden has been hit with one of these bullets. So now these demons can work with the buddy system. We get them walking away together or like sitting together calmly, little winky face, see you in season 2. It's going to go down.
That is how we ended. I thought it was really, it was so much like The Thing.
Yeah.
But particularly playing a round of The Thing board game,
yes.
that Outpost one.
That's really more what it felt like than watching the end of the movie.
Just knowing like, hey, there's 2 of us now in the mix. Like we can really turn this upside down.
Yes.
I'm excited to see if the other demon has different rules.
Yeah. And different powers.
Different powers. See, that would be really
different
interesting.
STDs.
Oh, this is interesting.
Oh, is it, David?
The girl who played Eden, I was just looking at her IMDb. She was also in The Boys.
Huh.
She plays older girl.
Okay.
Who knows what that means? But yeah, that ending is really intense, man. It's also really sad for Ellie's son.
Yeah, because he like has to go live with his like aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
Like he moves to Wisconsin or something like that. That sucks.
And also our
It's gonna be
heroes
cold.
essentially have just lost almost everything by the end. Like it seems like the other side just has all the powerful keys.
Oh yeah.
Now another person. Now they also, the heroes are relaxed thinking that they've defeated this thing.
But new keys to be found, new powers to be discovered. We'll see, man. It should be a fun ride. I'm excited. The worst part about having to binge watch it in one weekend is we got to wait a really long time now to see what happens next on the show.
Umbrella Academy is filming season 2 right now.
Oof.
And it's like, jeez, it's been such a long time. You would think that with Netflix, but I mean, I guess they have to wait and see what people think before they go ahead. That's the big problem.
Yeah.
They didn't do that with Witcher. With Witcher, they ordered 2 seasons as soon as they were done, before season 1 even aired. They were
That's a good thing. It's dope.
This is going to be a hit, so let's do it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to touch on in the story. Oh, you know what? One thing that just really threw me off, and I don't know if she was being sincere, if it was supposed to be a joke, but Lindsay suggesting to the love triangle, like, why don't I just date both of you guys? I was like, what?
I think she was being sincere. She didn't have any fear about it. She was like, well, she was like, I don't want to choose. And then she was like, wait, why do I have to choose? Like, this is what I want. Like, you guys decide what's going to happen. Just
considering that, like, Netflix is obviously taking steps to make the show more accessible to a young demographic. Just the whole, like, hey, let's suggest a polyamorous relationship. It just sounds so far compared to everything else they did. Let's make the ancillary uncle character gay, and let's give her these group of friends. Like, let's paint this pretty picture of progressivism. Which I say is a progressive, but then it's like, hey, like, let's get into a polyamorous relationship. I'm like, whoa, what is this? Seems different than everything else in the show. Like, it stuck out to me so strangely.
Well, that's what Scott with 1T was thinking too. But the demon was like, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, Dean was
that. That seems cool to me.
Yeah. Scott was like, no, it's not going to cut it for me. I was like, Scott, man. You're too good.
Scott's the best.
You need to go find yourself another lady, Scott. Although I am looking forward to being able, because the Lindsay character is really interesting to me, but she spent so much of the season just being completely unlikable.
Yeah.
For a good reason.
Hopefully she gets some of that fear back.
Yeah.
Or at least learns how to balance this out a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for in season 2. Man, I'm also trying to think about, because you know that they're going to have to just find more keys. And I'm hoping they're just going to keep it fresh. That's the biggest thing.
Like, are they going to be able to eventually get the adults on their side? How is that going to go down?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are they going to restore the uncle's memory somehow that they find?
Yeah, because I don't know if we talked about that on this episode.
No,
but
we didn't.
Like when you become an adult, you forget the magic.
Oh, yeah.
That is the rule in this universe.
Yeah. Like Santa Claus or something.
Yeah, like
Just don't
mom
believe
gets
in the
trapped in the
magic
mirror. They pull her out, and like minutes later, she's just like, "Why is everybody being so weird?"
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's pretty much it for me. I
mean,
can't
that's
think of
the
anything
show.
else. I gotta say, I would highly recommend it. I think it's also super accessible.
Yeah.
I could see people from like 8 to like 50 enjoying this show.
Yeah.
And like a whole family. Like, it's a show you could watch with your family without worrying about something being completely inappropriate.
Yeah, they do a
matter
good
who's
job
there.
of like not being too direct with anything.
Yeah. And while there is violence and like tension, it's handled in a very, safe way, I would say.
And if you need the like explicit gore, then just go read the comic book.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's dope.
And if you're interested in, what more of the differences are, I would just suggest listen to that episode because we really go through the comic pretty thoroughly and you'll catch what's different.
Yeah.
I got to say,
Not exactly an audio book, but
yeah,
you'll learn a whole lot.
Comparing, like getting into recording these 2 episodes, I was like, they both have their merits and I don't know which one's better. But after like talking about each one and really discussing it, I think I enjoyed the show a lot more.
Really?
I think that the way they told the story had a little more tension to it.
Maybe that's what Joe Hill was doing. He's like, hey, I got a second run
Yeah.
of like doing a final draft of this thing. Like, let's do it.
And I got to say the same thing about Umbrella Academy, just to bring it up one more time. We did the same thing pretty much. We read the book and then Brandon and I talked about the show. This was all on Apollo City Comics, but the show to me just took a good source material and delivered it in a way that the pacing just felt right. And it had that like Netflix thing about every episode just felt like, okay, I have to watch the next one now. You know what I mean? Which is now just how TV shows are.
Yeah.
But it hits it really well. My disagreement though, just to bring it all the way back around, Sabrina, man, the show is not as good as the comic book. And the comic book has been on hiatus for such a long time because he's been working on the TV show. And it's like, man, the comic book is so much better.
He's throwing all this time in, but at what cost?
The TV show likes to pretend that it's dark. And then like the comic book is like satanic death metal.
Nice.
It's just like as heavy as could be. The comic is so good. Well, man, shall we carry on?
Let's carry on, David. It's time for... Oh, that's interesting. For those of you unfamiliar with the show, Oh, That's Interesting is a current event segment that we do, and it's brought to you by me this week. Today we're going to be talking about something, pretty important. People should know, and it's not like I'm breaking the story. The story was broken by Justin Elliott, a reporter at ProPublica. Pulling this from ProPublica or org.org//ProPublica.org. Sorry about that. David, are you familiar with
ProPublica.org?
Taxes?
Just 100% honestly, I am familiar with taxes in the sense that I pay them.
Yeah, right. We all do. Everybody pays taxes.
I know how to file them. Well, not Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes things go awry. Sometimes there's corruption. Are you familiar with a website and service called TurboTax, David?
Yes, I'm very familiar with TurboTax. As aforementioned, I file my own taxes and I use TurboTax.
Nice. Do you do the TurboTax free file?
I do not.
You do not qualify for the free file.
It's not that I don't qualify, but Michelle's grandfather has bought a TurboTax license for years, which I don't even know if they still do it that way. You know how old people are. They'll keep it going. But anyways, his filing thing has like 5 people on it. So for the past like 4 or 5 years, he's always been like, just come do your taxes over here.
Oh, that's nice for you because TurboTax does have a free software, but You know what? And I can't really put it better than so I'm just going to read you the first paragraph of this article here. More than 14 million taxpayers paid for tax prep software last year that they could have gotten for free, according to a scathing audit released Wednesday by Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. That amounts to roughly $1 billion in revenue for TurboTax maker Intuit, H&R Block, and other tax software companies, according to a ProPublica analysis of tax prep fees.
Yikes.
And the way they're doing that, our dear friend Randy, who has been mentioned many a times on this podcast, was hanging out with him earlier today, and he mentioned this to me, and he was showing me this video. And they show their website. The website's very hard to navigate in the first place. Once you finally somehow manage to find the page, on the left side there is like an orange kind of red button that says find out if you qualify for free filing, and a blue button real bright that says start filing for free now. And most people click on that thing. It takes you through a thing. You get to the end, you're like, dope, I filed my taxes for free, I got my tax return, and we walk off. But what's actually happening is a lot of people are going through they're going through, and there's no charge, no payment that you see or anything, but they're automatically deducting a fee from your tax return.
Whoa. Okay, so that's just like deceptive, really.
Yeah. It's deceptive all around.
Yeah. If it was a situation where, you know, you go on there and it says pay to have my thing filed, or check to see if I'm eligible for free filing, and people were like, I'm probably not eligible, let me just pay for it. And then they find out retroactively, oh, well, a lot of these people who ended up paying for it really could have done it if they'd done that. That'd be a different circumstance. That would be just like, well, people should really look through these things more before making a business decision. But in this case, TurboTax is making it sound like, hey, it's free, come here. And then not even telling you at the end. Not even
telling you at the end that they took the money.
Like, thanks for filing. Please confirm that we will deduct $29.95 from your tax, or something like that.
No,
dude.
They just take it. They show you the amount after the deduction.
That can't follow through.
Well, let's get into it, David.
Okay.
So even if you're thinking like, okay, well, why didn't these people just like Google, if the website's so hard to navigate, why didn't they just Google TurboTax free software?
Okay.
They use something called robot code or something like robot.something. Robot.cz. It was in here. I don't know anything about coding in computers, but they use this one piece of code in the web page to let the Google servers know, do not cache this page so that it will not pop up on search results. And they do that on all the free software pages so that you can't just Google it easily. Also, as far they're back when the government decided we want there to be an easier, free way for Americans to pay their taxes online. Like, let's utilize the internet. They took a couple of companies and they said, okay, you guys go out, make this software, make it free for every American. And for you doing this, you can obviously offer like a premium service that offers more. And the IRS will not make something to compete with that for like X amount of years. Oh. So that was the trade-off. They had to make something free for Americans who qualified for the free tax filing to be able to easily go online and file their taxes from home without having to pay any kind of fee. And then the government wouldn't compete with their premium services. I believe it was set to expire at some point. There was a vote set for the IRS to come out with their own, and it's just been lobbied against, obviously, by all these companies who have been raking in billions of dollars off of people just trying to file their taxes for free.
And that's not to mention all of the money they made off people who just agreed to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was like all these people, when the story originally broke at the end of last year, there's all these people calling in to complain like, hey, like that's messed up. You need to give me my money back. Like you owe me some money. Like I've been filing you through for X amount of years on this free stuff. So what TurboTax did was they hired a crack team of customer service representatives to answer the calls, who they affectionately refer to as the ProPublica group, because that's the news site who broke the story in the first place. And their job was to answer all these calls from people trying to get their deserved tax return money back. Was tell them that ProPublica is fake news. They're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with anything that they've been doing, and they're not getting any kind of refund. That's ridiculous. Just like, no.
Wow.
The CEO came out and did this big thing. He's just saying the same thing. Like, all these things are very common business practices. We're not doing anything like legally wrong here. But it's like ethically, like you're playing some games, you know what I mean? Got a little shell game going on, screwing people out of their money.
Wow. Ugh, I hope he catches up to it, man. That's really messed up. Now I kind of don't want to use TurboTax anymore.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time,
Credit Karma. I don't want 100% free.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Credit Karma.
Gotta love Credit Karma.
I should check that out.
It's great.
Yeah, get out of your H&R Block.
Yeah, but a ton of those free sites, they are just be careful what you get yourself into because they're charging you, not telling you about it. So go on, give yourself a Credit Karma profile, not a sponsor. Hit us up.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, but it felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Credit Karma for the win, man.
I will hit them up. Consider yourself a sponsor, Frank. No, I'm sure. But seriously, that is interesting, Frank. And what a timely... Oh, that's interesting.
Taxes, they're inevitable, and they're happening right now.
They're happening right now.
I already filed my taxes. I was like, this is the year that I'm going to file them as soon as I get my W-2. And you know what? I finally did it, David.
I still haven't done it. And this year I feel is going to be weird because the first year we're married and we have to file together.
And you bought a house.
Oh, gosh. I'm not ready for this kind of
Well, it's kind of a good thing you didn't win some huge jackpot in Vegas because that would have been a whole nother thing to worry about.
Yeah. What if I did and I just didn't report it?
Oof. It gets you like Al Capone, man.
Hashtag I'm just
and
kidding.
Erykah Badu and Wesley Snipes. You got to pay your taxes, folks.
Yeah,
that's the lesson to bring out that's interesting. You got to pay your taxes.
Got to pay your taxes.
And be careful who you're doing it with.
Be proud to be an American, everyone.
Because at least you know you're free.
Well, I think it's time for Peeps and Predicaments.
Woo! There is no theme song for Peeps and Predicts. There is no theme song for Peeps and Predicts. And I'll just loop that like 12 times. Maybe put some like little drums underneath it. We forgot the cups, David. We forgot the cups at the top of the episode.
Yeah, but at least they're close by where I can just reach up and grab them.
At least they're close. I plugged in like all the stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and say you forgot the cups.
You know, you can say whatever you want.
I said it. Who's our first set of peeps, David, that we will be pitting against each other?
Our only set of peeps.
Imaginary, yeah, I guess that's true. And an imaginary contest or battle or some debatable topic.
I feel like this is an old school one, and to the handwriting, I think Michelle wrote it. This is old school because it's on this staff paper.
This has been in that jar for a long time.
Marnie from Girls.
Okay.
Versus Monica from Friends.
Interesting.
And all ladies.
That's a good matchup.
That is. They're very equivalent characters.
David, who could you beat 1v1 on Rocket League?
Ooh, Frank. That's one person.
David, we're talking about Marnie and Monica right now.
Both. Easily. Monica worse, only because she's from the 90s. And by this time, Monica would be like 50-something.
I feel like Monica would be harder to beat because she's so competitive. Like, that's a big part of her character. But I'm saying,
like, there's no way she could play a PS4.
I mean, she might. You don't know.
Like, Marnie is at least more contemporary to this time and understands technology. I'm just saying you pick a random, like, 55-year-old woman.
True.
Who doesn't play video games and give her a controller and say, hey, let's play Rocket League, a game that is, like, not easy to jump in on right off the bat.
Are you telling me Rocket League has a learning curve right now?
I'm telling you, it definitely does, dude. I mean, you can find someone who's matched your skill level, but it's by no means, like... It's not like, oh, hey, Grandma, we're playing Pac-Man. Do you want to go? You know what I mean? Like,
all right, David. Well, yeah, that's undebatable. Like, obviously, you have a better shot at beating her than Marnie. And probably beat them both. Like, let's be honest.
No, I'm being, 100% serious.
Better shot.
Both of those people, fictional and the actresses that portray them, I would destroy them 1v1 Rocket League. And I say that with 100% confidence.
Well, David, it's time for our second predict.
I got it. I got 2.
Just one, David.
Let me see here. Oh, and I have for you.
What do you have for us, David?
These sticky Post-its. This is an easy one, I feel like. Who do you think is the more graceful winner?
Oh.
Oof.
That's a little tough.
That is a little tough.
But you know what? Like, Monica's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, Marnie is selfish.
Yeah.
But I feel like Marnie, if she won something, like, let's just say it's an award, she would be playing it off very cool. You know what I mean?
She would handle it much more subtly than Monica,
Yeah.
who would be like screaming in your face and jumping up and down.
Of course, Monica is also a sitcom character, and that is a large part of the reasoning here. You know what I mean? Like,
It's
a
not
sitcom
our
character
fault
is,
what universe she comes from.
Yeah, it's not our fault.
It just is what it is. It's nobody's fault.
So in this case, Marnie.
I mean, yeah.
Easy.
This is very strange how easy this is all going down for two very similar like characters.
Right.
They're just like in it from different worlds, you know what I mean?
That's the biggest deal. Which question matters more to the other world?
The other world. Tiebreaker time, David.
Tiebreaker.
How are we going to tie? How are we going to break these ties, David? We're just going to do another predict. Okay, so this isn't exactly a question, but I kind of guess who I'm going to think is Brandon meant. Family had slaves, like a lot of slaves.
Whose family was more likely
To have had slaves, like a lot of slaves.
This is laptop time.
The Gellers are Jewish.
The Gellers are Jewish.
Marnie.
Yeah.
And Marnie's just like...
Is Marnie Jewish, though?
Oh, is she?
See, if Marnie's Jewish...
Oh, this is where it gets tough, David.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, this one you really got to get down into the nitty gritty. First off, I'm going to say that Marnie is in no means even like a religious character, but her family might be.
Family might be. And that's who would have owned the slaves or not owned the slaves.
I don't know if this is even...
Is that something Googleable?
Yeah. I don't know if we can find out if the character
Should we just
Marnie
go run and ask
Jewish.
Michelle if she knows?
I feel like I remember that show better than she does.
You might remember most things better than she does.
Maybe. I just also, Adam Driver, I'm just captivated, so.
Well, he's captivating, David.
Yeah. Oof. Gosh. What are you going to do?
Be captivated.
Well, her name is Marnie Michaels on the show. I'm going to guess maybe
More
not.
likely to have had slaves.
More likely. I mean, as opposed to a family that is confirmed Jewish. And, I mean, have the Jews ever owned slaves?
I feel like as a Jew, they wouldn't. You know what I mean? They remember.
This is a weird question to be typing in on Google. The extent of Jewish participation in medieval slave trade has been subject to ongoing debate.
Interesting.
Were Jews and the African slave trade. The role some Jews played in the Atlantic slave trade, both as traders and as slave owners, has long been acknowledged by historians.
Wow.
Yikes. Okay, but I still gotta say, percentage-wise, maybe the least.
More Jesuits.
If you're going just by religions, like percentage of religious, like percentage of people who've been slave owners belonging to certain religions, Judaism's got to be low. Buddhism has to be like 0.
That makes
knows?
sense. There's like one Buddhist out there who's like Buddhist for like appearances. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
have, like,
there's always some
slaves.
hypocrite. You know what I mean? Doing something wrong. Okay, so are we comfortable giving this to
Marnie?
Wait, Monica? No, wait, Marnie, because more likely to.
More likely to have had slaves.
So then everyone, we have Marnie Michaels up against Stephen Hawking in what could be the showdown of the century.
The showdown we've all been talking about. You've all been waiting for it. People have been talking on the streets for years.
It was like, well, who even cares about the Super Bowl a few weeks ago? San Francisco 49ers? Huh. Who are those guys even?
Who cares? Who is more likely to die in a game of Russian roulette? Marnie.
Oh, no.
I mean, like, Stephen Hawking is dead. You know what I mean? But he is, like, got more... He's got to understand probability. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have at least a very basic understanding of probability. And you'd be like, no, why would I do that?
This is just a disturbing question to think about.
It is disturbing. And I'm pretty sure I wrote this.
You would. Dude, I mean, I agree. It's got to be Marnie. Like,
there's no way.
Yeah, if you're playing Russian roulette,
he can't even... You know, he can't even.
There might be
it's
some
not happening. Somebody would have to help him.
Hey, that doesn't mean you can't play.
That's just murder.
It's just murder, though. Yeah, if you shoot someone in the head, you can't really talk your way out of that one. There's only two kinds of people that play Russian roulette: insane people and people who've been captured by Viet Cong.
Russians.
And Russians. There are three kinds of people who play Russian roulette. The cast in Deer Hunter, really crazy people, and Russians. Yeah, I mean, do I see Marnie? Do I see a Girls revival where they bring all the characters back and we learn that Marnie has made millions of dollars playing Russian roulette in some underground gambling ring? No, I don't. I mean, but try and tell me that wouldn't be awesome.
It would be dope. That would also be pretty captivating.
Yeah, be like, what is happening in Girls right now? But the Girls sequel show is obviously called Women. Yeah, dude, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Let's get wild. Why not? It seems more logical.
Expected for Marnie to be like a champion.
No.
Of Peeps and Predicts, but that's the way it fell.
That's the way it goes.
There's just no way you're getting Stephen Hawking to play a game of Russian roulette. It's not happening.
No, it's not going to happen.
He's a very intelligent man.
Too intelligent to make an uncalculated risk like that. Well, everyone, we hope you enjoyed the Lock and Key. We hope you stay away from TurboTax. And above all else,
pay your taxes.
We hope you watch Girls. At least the first 2 seasons, and then you can really jump off. You know, there's a lot of things to watch.
Girls could be one of them.
Yeah, watch Lock and Key. Watch the first season of Girls. If you like that, watch season 2. If you like that, flip a coin.
I mean, and watch that Aaron Hernandez documentary. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's very interesting stuff.
Yo, I've been wanting to watch that.
Dude, it's sick.
Is that a Netflix documentary?
Yes.
Netflix has just been putting out some crazy documentaries this year.
They have this super awesome series called I Am a Killer, and it's just interviews with people on death row and life sentences. They've murdered people, and they tell you about how they grew up, and then they talk about the event and how they feel on it. It's pretty crazy. It's a really good interview series.
Interesting. Oh, that is interesting.
Twice.
Well, thanks again.
Subscribe. If this is you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening to it on another format, another website, another streaming service,
Apple Podcast, maybe.
Yeah, whatever you're doing, just keep listening. I guess tell somebody about it.
Yeah. Give us a review on Apple. That'd be nice.
If you see somebody bending over to pick something up, make a fart noise and just get a good chuckle.
Ooh, definitely do that one.